Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rody and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 134 of All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast. Rody, it's great to be here with you. We have a fantastic guest lined up for today. It is, of course, Terry Magryn from Magryn Engineering, and they've been involved in a number of boat ramp projects. It's going to be a big one, Rody.
It is, Diz, and most topical at the moment was the Marion Bay boat ramp, which has been one of his projects he's been working on. So we're going to chat with him about all the ins and outs and why it's made the way it is, and we'll touch on the weed and some of these things that have been an issue for people. So that is a good one to listen to, Diz.
Good stuff, Rody. Looking forward to it. Let's get cracking on some of our usual segments. Of course, we start with oranges and lemons. I'll give you my orange, and it is going to be the fact that when we got away over Easter, we managed to do a bit of dabbing.
Dabbing, Diz, it's underrated, and we haven't done it in a long time.
We had a great time. We managed to get 20, I think it'd be fair to say, good-sized gar too. They were all relatively good size.
We did. There were probably only a couple. We went 2 nights in a row, and we probably got 20 and then 18 or something, didn't we, I think?
We ended up with close to 40 in the end, but it is one of those things, probably the first couple you kind of scoop one up and you sort of go, right, measure it quick, measure it, and you go, oh, that's just size or that's comfortably size. And by the end of, spotting a few of them, you kind of get your eye and you go, nah, leave that one. That's tiny.
Can I do a little pre-lemon? That's not really my lemon, but filleting them, not much fun.
Yeah. Filleting them wasn't great, but I feel like we were getting our eye in by the end of it. I think it's like anything.
We need to do it again soon.
Yeah, good call. What's your orange, mate?
I'm going to go with public holidays, Diz. Feels like I've hardly worked.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon? We've had so many weekends and public holidays and Easter and Anzac Day. I'm a bit flat. I didn't take off those 3 days in between like a lot of smart people did. But anyway, lots of public holidays, not a lot of work. It's always good.
Now we have like just a little break. It won't be that long before we get the June long weekend. And then we have a bit of a decent break before
it is
we
a break
get into
after
the
that.
October
It is.
long weekend. So that will be good. All right, I'll roll that into my lemon, which has been that... Look, Millie's birthday was on the Easter long weekend.
Hold on. This is your lemon, mate.
Yeah, I know.
It's not your orange, your wife's birthday? Surely.
I'm just giving a bit of context here.
Sorry, I thought you'd dub it up on an orange.
The birthday celebrations was, it was nice. We had a nice steak and everything was good. But my goodness, the birthday celebrations drag out. They've been going for like 3 months now.
She does love a birthday more than anyone I know.
There's so many celebrations, so many gatherings, so many events, and they're just interrupting all sorts of other things, like going to the footy yesterday.
Didn't make it, did you?
Fishing sometimes.
Yep. Anyway, I'll move on from there before you get yourself in any more trouble, Diz. Look, when you're going away fishing, you allocate, someone's getting the food, someone's getting the bait, who's organising the boat, blah, blah, blah. You were like, I'm getting us a dabbing light. I'll go in a BCF or Anaconda or one of them. I'll get us a good light. I said, no worries. You came in, it was a bit underwhelming, little sort of handheld thing. It looked like a pocket light that you tuck away in your glove box and don't really use. I was sort of expecting a big spotlight sort of looking thing, but I thought, we'll give it a chance. It was horrible. My head torch was better.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
No, I don't have much to say.
We almost got the iPhone light out and used that instead.
There was some talk. There was some talk of an iPhone light at one point.
If we were doing the worst tackle item of the week, we'd pop that torch up.
Yeah, it was.
It was underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't have much to say there other than that was a mistake. I think we'll write that down as a podcast expense, which I'm glad to go halves with you on.
You see like 1,000 lumens, 1,200 lumens, 1,500 lumens. This thing was about 4.
Oh, mate. It was marketed for over 1,000 lumens.
Unbelievable.
It'll be quite handy. Like you could just sort of tuck it somewhere around the side and have it as like a little... torch in case you feel like there's an intruder or something.
Yes, it's certainly small and nifty. That's what it's got going for it.
All right, let's roll it into some of our recent social media, Rody, and I think it would be remiss of us not to say that we've made it big with the advertiser.
Oh, yeah, Diz, I forgot about that. We did get a good little ride up there amongst some other big names in South Australian fishing. That was a win.
Some bigger names in South Australian fishing. I think we were very close to the bottom, if not the bottom. I think we might have been.
We were certainly bottom half, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. But it was great to be in there and glad to have a ride up in the Tizer. So shout out to James Grattan, who knows talent when he sees it.
We should, Diz. And now what else should we talk about is the algae bloom. We're sort of following this on social media. Sounds like it is dispersing a little bit, Diz, on the Flurio, but maybe spreading a bit further across bottom end of Yorks.
Yeah. Done any research on whether that's got to do with sharks sighting so close to...
Well, that was the other one I was going to touch on. The sharks. My God, there's been some sightings.
Yeah.
Those Maslin Beach ones.
Well, that one seemed like a very consistent story that got a lot of...
And did you see the baby great white that died? So you wonder whether that was in shallow water, sort of resting and recuperating before and after it gave birth.
We should try and get a shark expert on that as a guest.
We should. But anyway, Diz, that's that one. Brett Mensforth took some great footage off Port Vincent.
That footage was excellent.
And
I watched that go to woe.
Yeah, and your dad saw one too.
Yes,
you should mention.
He did. So they got over to Black Point.
So we were at Black Point for Easter.
Yeah, they were there on Tuesday.
And I saw him out to the mooring about 8 times.
Yeah, it was a lot of swimming out to that.
Sunset.
Mooring.
Almost night. All times of the day.
Yeah. And literally, I think, Dad had the boat just on anchor on the weed line, went out and got it, got back in. Then as they were driving out to go fishing, Andrew actually said, "Oh, there's a dolphin up there." And then they started slowly cruising towards it, and then they were like, "Oh, hang on a minute, that doesn't look like a dolphin fin, that looks more like a shark fin." So then they sort of slowed down. It was a glassy morning. Unfortunately, because it was early in the day, there was quite a bit of glare on the footage that they had. So you couldn't get a good shot of it. But once the boat got close to it, it just turned on a dime. And then if you slow the footage down, you can clearly see that it's a shark.
Yeah.
And pretty decent size too. I mean, it would make sense that you would suggest maybe that it was the same one that was seen at Port Vincent, given how close they are. Yeah. But like anything, you never know. Yeah.
So plenty of sharks about, and that is taking the social media world by storm.
Marion Bay.
Yeah,
really
Joey Virgin
close.
got one, didn't he?
Well, Joe got footage while he was on the jet ski, but then there was also footage of how close it was.
Riding close to the beach and the boat ramp there,
Yeah. So crazy. Jumped off that jetty a number of times.
Yeah, we've swum in half these locations, to be fair.
Okay, good stuff, Rody. Let's move in to the news.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and will give you the rundown on what you need to know.
All right, Rody, we've got a bit to motor through here because there's a fair bit in the news, some of which we've sort of briefly touched on already. But I think, to be fair, it would be silly for us to not, we should start with basically the Adelaide Now reporting basically about the deaths at the West Beach facility.
Yes.
Saying that there was sort of... nothing to see here. Mistake, whoopsie. That did it feel to you like it did to me that they were trying to sweep it under the rug?
The statement says seawater irritants, but it doesn't give a specific cause, and it says that a cause could not be provided due to water testing blunders.
Yeah.
So this was that issue that happened. I think it was late last year, was it? 200,000 snapper fingerlings died. Almost 3/4 of the state's oyster spat research stock died, and scores of baby barramundi mysteriously died. They've basically said we weren't testing the water well enough, and we don't know where this dissolved contaminant had come from. So the cause cannot be conclusively established at the present time based on available evidence, as water quality data coinciding with the mortality is lacking. Bit flat on that, aren't we, Diz?
Very, very flat on that.
So anyway, we do not know. So it says there's been new rules put in place that officials will collect at least 2 litres of seawater with biological tissue when the earliest signs of death occur going forwards. But that doesn't help us now. They're also putting in special water pipe quality sensors with alarms.
Yeah, so don't you reckon you'd have some of that in place?
Yeah, well, you would at the start if I was in charge, but I'm not in charge, am I?
That's a crying shame, mate, because then we wouldn't have had this situation.
We certainly wouldn't, Diz.
What else we got? Pippi closure. That's due to the algal bloom with all the deaths.
Yes, and you saw that those photos of all those dead cockles on Goolwa Beach, and Wreckfish raised concerns over those deaths of the cockles, and as a result, the commercial Pippi closure was closed on April 16th for further investigation.
Yeah.
So that is interesting, Diz, that sort of it seemed like you would have shut that straight away, but it did take a bit of time before it was closed to be investigated.
Yeah. Again, it took a little while. I mean, you'll sort of wonder how many went into rotation that might have had the disease, but I imagine that there'd be some testing, like particularly where it is for human consumption. But
you'd hope so.
I wonder how many people went down to Goolwa and got a feed of them and got crook from them.
Geez, I hope not many, because if you saw thousands and thousands of dead cockles,
no, but
you mean before
I
that?
imagine before that, you would obviously, once they're all dead, you'd think, well, you'd like to think that some people would go, well, wonder what this is all about.
Well, I don't eat bait, but B, if I did, and I knew that there was fish kills just down at Victor, I'm not sure I would have been picking them up to eat anyway.
No, me neither. But
anyway. The other interesting thing about that, Diz, is will cockle prices soar?
Yeah, good point. Especially if it stays closed. I mean, if it clears up and you can get back down there and you can get some and whatever, then you'd probably think the supply and demand kicks in. But, yeah, good point. We'll wait and see. What else we got, Rody?
That Westlake event that we talked about last time, Diz, the
great fun
thing that Wreckfish got involved in, and those flogs that were abusing those kids. That was a good event. We couldn't get along there. I think we both had something on, but plenty of people attended. There was some really good footage on the news. Bit of a feel-good story. Wreckfish and Shimano gave out some rod and reel combo, or rod reels or something.
Yeah, I think it.
Rod and reel combos for the kids, and then I think there was a giveaway of, I think it was a Saragossa, so a pretty good prize. But heaps of people went along. Probably the best thing was, sounds like behaviour was good. We didn't want everyone to go down there and carry on like yahoos and give fishos a bad name, did we?
No, of course we didn't. And, I think it just goes to show that playing the bigger person in that sense is ultimately the winner, because I'm sure there have been a few people down there that wound up with a nice rod and reel combo and happy days.
It wasn't hard to be the bigger person when the smaller people were abusing young kids. So anyway, we're not really setting the bar that high here, are we?
True. All right, Rody, what else is happening? There's some cod stocking going on down at Gambier.
The Valley Lake at Mount Gambier, Diz, will be stocked. So it's been work that's gone on with a local man named Andrew Barton, other community members within the Mount Gambier Council. So there's been 2 years in the planning with Wreckfish heavily involved, and they are going to fund it. So the project has been granted to stock Murray cod in May 2025, Diz. And they're also working, so it's a sponsor a cod program. So anyone who signs up as a Wreckfish member, which costs $25 across May, all of that money, 100% of those funds, will go towards larger fish up to 5 kilos. So if you buy a membership for Wreckfish in the month of May, all the money goes into cod directly to Mount Gambier.
How good.
So that's to go with the $12,500 that Wreckfish SA have already tipped in.
Wow, that's pretty good, Rody. Don't mind that.
So we're happy with that one, aren't we?
Of course we are. Good work by Wreckfish SA. We love that. Keep up the great work down there. Rody, there is there's another Yabby Net exchange. So that will, of course, be where you can exchange your Opera House net for the newer style pyramid, or now the only allowable Yabby traps as the pyramid style. So get in and get around that. That's going to be on the 24th of May in the morning, 10 till 12:30, Felixstowe Reserve. Of course, you bring down your Opera House, you exchange it over for a pyramid, and that's going to help species such as the platypus.
And the Ricali.
And it's going to help platypuses, not platypi.
Good on, Diz. So there's 1,800 plus pyramid Yabby nets worth $30,000. So that was Wreckfish and Green Adelaide. There's a barbecue and Ozfish Unlimited are involved as well. Jump on the Eventbrite, sort of through those Facebook pages, and register to make sure you get your nets.
Love it. Good stuff. All right, Rody, what else have we got coming out of the news?
Dizzy, so there's been I'm not really all over this. The who owns what and all that in the boating industry is, but Yamaha Motor Co. has acquired 100% of Telwater, which houses famous brands Quintrex, Savage and Stacer. So they've bought them from a company called BRP. I'm not actually sure what that is, Diz.
I think BRP was Sea-Doo.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but I could be wrong on that. Interesting.
And also Maritimo has purchased Caribbean boats from International Marine in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's interesting because Maritimo is a huge brand in big luxury yachts.
Maybe they'll make us one.
Oh, that'd be nice. Certainly do us a... I mean, not that I would ever say, I mean, the beach was exceptionally nice and comfortable, but I saw a couple of decent old boats down at the Lincoln. There'd probably be a couple of Maritimos knocking around in the Port Lincoln Marina, don't you reckon?
I reckon there would be in that marina, Diz. It's a good marina. Now let's go on to something that's not so good.
We're ending on a sour note.
I know, we should have rejigged the order a bit here, Diz.
I hate this.
So this is, we always talk about these fisheries officers catching people out on the water doing the wrong thing, and this is a real bad one. Diz, they caught, I think it was 2 fishers at the boat ramp at Warina, seizing 124 southern calamari. A reminder, the limit is 15 per person, so they exceeded that by 94 between the two of them. So the catch was confiscated, the boat and all fishing equipment was seized, and they'll be rocking up in court.
Good.
And 2 days, actually, this is even worse. 2 days before that, there was a covert operation with fisheries officers seizing 101 southern calamari, caught by 2 fishermen, one from High Marsh Valley and the other from Queensland. So there's been 2 incidents at Warina Cove in the last month. All 4 will be summoned to face court at a later date and face a maximum penalty of 20 grand.
Jeez. Not good. Not good, Rody. Not good.
So that's a bit of a flat one to end on.
Throw the book at him.
Yeah, we've said that before, but we should follow up and see how much of a fine these people actually end up with.
Yeah, not a bad shout. All right, Rody, let's move into the tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rody and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Rody, this is a fantastic piece of kit coming out of Shimano. Not a great surprise that they're delivering the goods yet again on some tackle accessories. This one is, of course, the recoil rod leash. Now, most people who have been offshore and seen enough time on the water will know that it's a devastating sight watching your pride and joy rod and reel go overboard because of some sort of failure or mishap out on the water. So, of course, when you're trolling for offshore species, you want to make sure you've got yourself a rod leash, and that's basically just using this lovely piece of kit to attach to your rod and reel and also to the boat so that if for whatever reason something happens, you've got a backup.
And does this one from Shimano here ticks all the boxes? So it's made from that coiled material. So it starts off with a nice little size of 55 centimetres, which is nice and sort of, easy to keep out of the way, all that sort of stuff. And when you stretch it, 1.2 metres. So what that means is you can have it hooked onto the side of your boat or the jet ski or the kayak or whatever it is, and you don't have to mess around unclipping the thing before you take it out to fight a fish, because it's all there. You got plenty of wriggle room. It has a Velcro reel strap, so it's not you can strap that on, and it's designed to be fished while still attached to the strap is. So it's not like those other ones that loop around and they get in the way when you're fighting the fish. This Velcro's on out of the way beautifully. It is rate tested to 15 kilos.
You make a great point there, mate. It is going to be very handy for those jet ski or kayak fishers, because we all know that when you're trying to manage all your tackle and the bite's hot and that sort of thing when you're on a smaller vessel like those.
Trolling in the river, something like that. You want to make sure that you've got all of your kit squared away so that if for whatever reason it does happen to go overboard, you don't lose it permanently to the depth. So great piece of kit coming out of Shimano. Get around it. You'll find it in all good tackle stores. And we'll have to give that a test out, Diz, and do a little video or something.
Of course we will, Rody. Definitely. All right, Rody, let's move into our guest. Of course, as we said at the top of the show, we've got the principal engineer from Magryn Engineering to talk us through some latest boat ramp developments.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Dizzy, we are joined here today by Terry Magryn. He's the principal engineer at Magryn Engineering. He's been involved in the Marion Bay boat ramp and a number of other big projects across the state. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Righty, thank you very much.
Terry, it's great to have you on the show, and we are very much looking forward to having a chat with you today, and thanks a lot for your time. I think it'll be definitely worthwhile, if you don't mind, telling us a little bit about your business and some of the expertise around coastal engineering that you have.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I suppose the first thing to say is I'm getting on in years a bit. I've been an engineer for 45 years or so. I've run my own business for a bit over 30 years, and it's grown from a single-man band up to what we have now, which is about 9 engineers, technical staff, a coastal scientist, a few things like that. And so it's grown steadily over the years. I personally have a degree in civil engineering, and I have a master's in engineering science specialising in coastal engineering. I've had probably most of my career, except the first year or so, has been involved in the coastal sector, so I would have well over 40 years of experience in the coastal sector, working for New South Wales Public Works Department in their coastal branch, the Commonwealth Government in their coastal branch, various consultancies, and the last 30 or so in my own consultancy.
Very good. So it sounds like you're the man for the job, Terry. How did you get into coastal engineering? Were you a fisherman or a boatie or passionate about the ocean, or how did that come about?
I just love water. I enjoy working with water. I enjoy playing with water. I tend to live down by the beach when I can, and I'm out on the water whenever I can. However, I don't own a boat, with the exception of a jet ski that is fully tax deductible for survey work, and I don't fish. However, my grandson is a keen fisher, if that counts.
It certainly does count, and we love the idea of just weaving a jet ski into being able to have a tax deduction. We wish we could do that on the podcast. We might take that one offline and have a chat to you later. But no, seriously, Terry, let's get into it. And look, thank you for that. It's a brilliant sort of rundown on the business and your history. But let's talk a little bit about the Marion Bay boat ramp, given that's no doubt one of your most recent coastal engineering projects. So can you just talk us through, I suppose, the role of building the ramp and some of the challenges you might have faced along the way?
Well, Marion Bay, I must say up front, it's a challenging site. It is a reasonably exposed coastline, so you have the problem of wind wave and swell waves accessing the ramp. And these come from different directions, so they go across the ramp at times, which makes it dangerous to get boats on and off the ramp. That happens in many other locations. South End is a good example. The swell just whips around the corner at South End and the waves come almost straight across the ramp, and I've seen numerous accidents waiting to happen on that ramp. So it's exposed. It is also in a bay with a large seagrass meadow offshore. So there is a problem of seagrass wrack on the beach, which has been there for a very long time. It comes and goes, mainly with the storms, but sometimes with the seasons. So managing the ramp like that is an issue. And the third problem with Marion Bay is the lack of water depth. When we design ramps, we design them to the guidelines of the South Australian Boating Facilities Advisory Committee, lovely acronym, SABFAC. So we designed them along those guidelines, and those guidelines are similar to what they are with other states across Australia, and they're also similar to what's required by the Australian standards under the Marina Design Code, which now includes boat ramps. We try for a minimum of 1 metre water depth at low water. That is not always possible, depending on the site. It was not possible at Marion Bay. The other one that we've done recently that falls into that category is Black Point. Black Point also has no water at low tide. Marion Bay at least has a bit of water. It has about 300 mil at low water, which is not really enough for a good-sized fishing boat, but it's the best we can do, and you've probably got to time the launchings and retrievals off the ramp for enough water for your boat. So, yes, it is a very challenging site. And we try and fit in with the local conditions in regard ramp slope, access. We've got to get cars and trailers to and from the ramp. We've got to have adequate parking on land for those trailers. And we've got to position the ramp in such a way that it doesn't affect what happens on the coast. And by that I mean sediment transport. You don't get too much sand build up on one side of the ramp, which leads to erosion on the other side of the ramp. Any blocking of sand like that is also likely to cause blocking of seaweed, the seaweed rack on the beach. And if it's too high off the beach, it will cause more of a problem with the seaweed rack. It's a balance to get all of those things right. And we can always do a better job, but we always need a lot more money to do a better job. And in this case, this was the budget we had, and this is where council wanted the ramp put, and that's the best job we can do. Not perfect, but a lot better than what was there before.
Very good. Now, you've summed that up pretty well, I think, Terry. So obviously we understand it's a challenging boat ramp. It's the environment's a bit of a struggle. And you also mentioned Black Point, and we were actually there on the weekend, and we know that ramp very well. So that's another one where there are some challenges. But on the Marion Bay one, I suppose the bit that's probably a lot of the general public's been not that thrilled with is the weed build-up. Is that worse than what you expected?
Well, it's very similar to what was there before. The worst beach I've come across for weed build-up is Kingston down the southeast. At times, quite often, you can get 2 metres plus a weed. And the adjacent, I think it is the Kingston boat ramp as well, is in Whyalla Creek that is completely weed choked. And similarly, that bay has a lot of seagrass meadows just offshore.
Do the pontoons make that worse though, Terry? Is that the difference between the old ramp in Marion Bay? Is that the difference between the old ramp and the new ramp, that the pontoons sort of keep the seagrass sort of stuck in the ramp? Is that right or not?
Well, there are no pontoons at Marion Bay.
Sorry, the timber jetty, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a timber jetty that's the old jetty that's a bit south. And then we've got the ramp itself, which has got a step jetty in the middle of it to allow people to get in and out of boats easier. And it's got a wave attenuator on the southern side of it as well. And again, it's a balancing act because the wave attenuator is there to reduce the wave action over the ramp and make it safe for people. But the wave attenuator will also have undesired effects that it can increase sand deposition on the ramp. And if there's any weed floating by, it will trap the weed as well. But it'll probably trap the weed on the south side of the attenuator, not on the ramp side. It is a juggling act, but we've made the attenuator adjustable so that if we're getting either too much sand deposition or we're getting too much weed caught in the attenuator, planks can be removed and more flow through of water through the attenuator that's going to reduce that effect. Not so much with the jetty. The jetty is a fixed structure. It has piles at, I'm trying to remember, about 5 metre centres or so. The low sections might catch some weed, but then the ramp's going to catch weed as well. So it's pretty much what we thought it would be, and it's pretty similar to what was there before, I think.
Mm. Thanks, Terry. And you mentioned also the financial restraints. I mean, I certainly imagine that if there was an open checkbook and no sort of constraints in that regard, that it would be
I would love that.
Something
I would love that.
I imagine, just talk us through, I guess, some of that difficulty, because no doubt these conversations that we're having right now have been had with the council. How do they sort of strike that balance with you as the engineer to sort of say, look, this is the best we can do, whilst knowing that there could be a better design if money was no object?
Okay, so there have been previous studies done on the site that date back to about 2010 was the first one by COPOC. There was another one in 16, 17 and shortly after that by GHD, which looked at basically different options for the site. And the options range from do nothing, which is just basically repair it a bit and get it up to speed a bit, but leave the ramp where it is, use the same ramp. The second option was a better ramp that would provide more weather access, more tidal access. The third one was a better ramp with a wave attenuator to try and improve the conditions on it. And the last one was a better ramp, a completely new ramp with a breakwater around it to protect it from wave attack and make it much more usable. Huge cost difference. Breakwaters are immensely expensive, and I think a breakwater of that sort of order would have added several $1 million to the project.
Terry, that's excellent. And one thing I did want to also ask, because you'd mentioned about that previous coastal report, for Marion Bay, was there any consideration given to another location? I appreciate that would have a wide range of effects on different parts of the town and so on and so forth, but was there a suggestion about where it may have been located if it weren't to be in the same spot?
Yes, there was consideration given to that, but that was before we were on board. So The last study that was done by GHD involved a fair amount of wave modelling, modelling to show what the sediment transport was, which would equate to what the CRAC transport was, and what the wave climates were and the best place to put it. Alongside that is also the consideration that the ramp requires a certain amount of area for car parking and trailer parking, but also requires access that is safe from the surrounding roads. It comes into it that council need a parcel of land that they can use for those onshore facilities, and the access has to be safe. So, for instance, they can't turn around and say, well, the best spot for the ramp is in the car park of the pub, so we'll just move the pub. That wouldn't work at all. So it's got to work with what land council has available or can acquire. And yes, there was consideration given to other sites in prior studies, but that wasn't in our brief.
Yes, beautiful, Terry. I suppose it's hard when you're in the process for a part of the project, but not all the lead up. So that's probably where the challenge is there. I will just say, sorry, Terry, you just dropped out for a second there. We just missed the bit where you were saying, firstly, about the attenuator can be changed if the council sort of asked you to come back. But secondly, can I just get you to quickly repeat what you said about the similarities to the Emu Bay boat ramp and just that you haven't had too many issues there?
Well, we haven't been contacted by council in regards performance of that ramp, and it would now be, I'm guessing, 3 or 4 years that ramp's been up in operation. We always get feedback when there is a problem. We don't necessarily get feedback when things are going reasonably well. So I'm assuming that ramp is functioning quite well.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Terry. Sorry, we just had a little tech issue there. Now, the last thing we wanted to talk about is the Whyalla Jetty. That's been sort of quite revolutionary. It's won, I think, some awards and it's got really good feedback. I know it's one of the positives that we've heard is the disability-friendly parts of it that can be, I think, the height of the jetty can be changed. Is that right, Terry?
No. The height of the jetty can't be changed, no.
Or some panels that can be removed. Is that right? Is that the Whyalla Jetty?
Yes.
You can take the top rail out or something, I think you mean?
So it has a fishing disability access points located along the jetty, which actually is as simple as the top rail of the jetty can be slid back to allow people sitting in a wheelchair on the deck to fish, put their rod through, basically through the top rail, so it's lower down and they can fish more comfortably. That is it's an excellent innovation. I wish I'd thought of it, but it works quite well, and I think it gets a fair amount of use. The other side of that is you need to have disabled access for wheelchairs onto the jetty, which we've managed to achieve with a disabled access compliant ramp from the breakwater up onto the jetty deck itself. So it is all disabled access and friendly.
Beautiful. Well, that sounds like that's been a really good project. We've heard nothing but positive feedback about that Whyalla Jetty. So we did just want to touch on that one. Now, thanks, Terry.
Yeah, no, that is an innovation, yes.
Thanks, Terry, for coming on and giving up your time, and it's been really good to sort of hear about, we already knew that there were going to be some challenges with the boat ramp, but as you say, it's a difficult environment, the ocean, but particularly an open sort of beach like Marion Bay. So thanks for coming on to explain some of the challenges and issues and how you've worked through them as best you can.
That's my pleasure, and can I just say that it's a very exciting and interesting field to work in because every day presents problems that are a new challenge. And if I can encourage anyone out there that is half interested in the ocean, water and engineering to take up a career in this area, we can't get people, we can't get engineers, we especially can't get coastal engineers. So we would be more than pleased to have people come along and join the field. It's a growing field with climate change and everything else happening, and it would certainly be a very good field, a very good career for people to get into, and we'd encourage it.
Very good. Well, Diz, if physio and pharmacy goes downhill for us, we might have a career change.
Well, I was just about to say, I certainly can't have a tax deduction of a jet ski in the pharmacy field, but now we know that we can in the coastal engineering field. That has certainly pricked my ears up from that perspective. But also, look, Terry, thank you first and foremost for all your time. The podcast isn't doing so well financially, so maybe it is time that we go back to uni, Rhodey, and see if we can't get a job with Terry.
Give us a bell when you got the bit of paper.
Very good. Thanks for your time,
again
Terry.
for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Great to have a chat with Terry Rhodey. Unfortunately, the audio let us down there for a little while, but you'll save that in the editing.
Well, it's going to take some editing to get out of this one, Diz, but we did. I think we covered most of it in the end. He did talk about the Port Kenny breakwater was another one that they built the breakwater and then that caused more issues than good. So that was just him sort of showing us that spending those millions of dollars to build the biggest and best doesn't always work either. And then we sort of went back and covered how those panels can get taken off the wave attenuator.
Yep.
And
but they're adjustable.
The adjustable part of it. And also the bit about that if that was to be the case, they'd have to be sort of re-engaged, I suppose, by the council.
Yeah, very good. Love that from you, Rhodey.
But it's good to get a behind the scenes of how that process works. Because I think it's easy to throw stones saying, I could have done better. Well, the old one was better than what it was, blah, blah, blah. But there's certainly some conflicting issues with the swell and the cost and the weed and the waves and all that sort of stuff, the space around it. And the finance is probably really the big one. And I suppose Terry admitted that it's not perfect, it's never going to be perfect, but it's sort of a battle between what you can afford and what you can do and what the best option is.
Yep, good call, Rody. Well summarised there. Let's hook into the fishing report, mate.
Rody and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Righto, Rody, the barrels are down in the southeast. So there's been some good reports of fish from Port Mac. I think some people have been launching at Portland, heading across. But, Port Mac, of course, want to fish. No great surprise. They found the fish and got into them. They were keeping
Fluoro
it
Charter's
on the
heading
down
down
low.
too.
Yeah, Fluoro Charter's heading down. They did tell us that on the podcast, but they've done a great job getting themselves organised this quickly. So shout out to them. And basically, if you're planning on getting stuck into a barrel this year, then dust your gear off or give Tice or some of those other great charter operators that we've had on the show a buzz and get around them, because they'll be getting some beautiful prized fish down there. That's for sure. Rody, what else have we got? We got a whale next to the Kingscote Jetty. Quite surprising.
Did you see that footage?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It was shared by a guy called Zach Poole on the Kangaroo Island fishing scene. It was a humpback whale jumping 15 metres off the jetty?
Yeah, it was close.
3:40 p.m. the other day. It was close to the jetty, just breaking the surface, jumping up and down. It was close. It was good footage.
It was.
Don't know if that whale was lost or what the story was.
Yeah, it's interesting that, but it's amazing how you can get some of this footage and share it, and you love to see some of those rare moments in nature. So good work sharing that on the socials. Roddy, let's talk about the sharks, mate. We did briefly mention this, but they've been everywhere.
Yeah, the south sort of beaches or Dingaway's been copying that big one that seems to sit in the shallows. As we mentioned before, Brett Mensforth's YouTube footage is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'd love to get some footage like that.
Yeah.
And did you see the shark attacking a drift anchor off Kingston in the southeast?
That was interesting, wasn't it?
That was full on too, wasn't it?
You wonder what they thought it was. It's probably just, give it a bite and see what it tastes like.
Well, that's why they bite humans, isn't it? Thinking they're seals. They don't actually want to eat the human.
Yeah, I know. But what did they think that the drift anchor was?
A floating chunk
blob.
of whale blubber.
True, could have been.
Look, I've got no idea. The interesting thing about these sharks is there more sharks or is there more social media?
Yeah, it's
and
the
it's
age-old
probably a bit
question.
of both.
Yeah. Well, you see, there's been a bit of traction of that Shark Watch SA, I think it is, the guys who developed that and their app or whatever, saying that there have been an abnormal amount of reportings to that. Now, I appreciate that doesn't mean anything about there being more sharks, but social media and the ease of social media has been around for a lot longer than just 1 year. So, if you think this year is substantially more than the last few, then you probably might say, well, there's a few more sharks around, but it certainly also doesn't mean that next year they're quiet and there's nowhere near as many sightings.
No, but certainly they've been protected, the great whites, for, since the 80s, I think it was. So you couple that with more social media, and now maybe this algae is playing some part in it. Who knows whether they don't like that water.
Yeah.
And they're getting away from it and coming up the Gulf where there's more people. I think it's a combination of things, but it's certainly true that 30 years ago you see a great white, what do? You tell your 5 mates, your family, 15 people here.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you put it on Facebook, it gets shared, and 10,000 people see it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so I think it's a bit of a combination of things.
Good call. All right, Rody. Well, we had a great time over on Yorks. Like we said, we got into the garfish a couple of times dabbing. Great to have good mate Bill down on the boat. He came out. He was, I'd say he sort of got his eye in eventually. He was okay. It was pretty ordinary to start with, but he
was doing all right with a very average light, might I add. Although I don't know why he kept trying to reverse net those garfish. He was doing like this reverse swivel thing.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
He was going the wrong way, Bill.
But, got some blue swimmer crabs. That was good.
Good size crabs too.
Really good size crabs. Didn't have to measure one.
And what we got 8 in half an hour with the kids.
That was a mission for the kids, and that was good fun. fun. They had a lot
Good
of
to
fun
get them used
doing
to it. They were holding them.
Yeah, that's
Touching
right.
them, all that.
was it. We got out briefly for a fish for whiting, but we didn't have much joy. Got a couple over the side, but nothing to brag about. I've had some people over there say that the squid are thick. There's been, really good numbers, 10, 16.
Your dad did well after he saw the shark, did he?
Yeah.
Shark didn't put him off. He just said, bad luck, Sharky. I'm going to go clean up on your whiting, your squid around the
Clean
corner.
up on the squid, yeah. So that was really good. And you've heard about the metro whiting, Rody.
Yeah, bloke from work his statement was from I think it was his brother, said, I used more fuel scaling the whiting than I did catching them.
Wow.
So that was metro. So hopefully that is a good sign, Diz. We've tried that a little bit in previous years with some success, but we certainly haven't nailed the bag limits that others seem to, and I think we're coming into that time of year in the next couple of months.
Yeah, good call. Love that, Rody. Well, that just about wraps up what's been a pretty juicy episode. It was great to hear from Terry and appreciate his honesty about the process, and a lot of news to get through, and all in all, I think that was a good little addition.
Certainly was, Diz. Now, make sure you tag us in your Facebook and your Instagram photos from over the last couple of long weekends. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe even send us in a little voicemail, Diz.
Oh, I love the voice memos.
We love them.
Get around them. Good to chat to you guys. We'll see you next time.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.